The rain came down in sheets that night, soaking the dark highway that snaked past the edge of the construction site. James Dyer, site foreman and seasoned hardhat with more years behind him than ahead, was finishing his shift. The last truck had left hours ago, and he was locking up the generator when he spotted something strange ahead on the empty road. Large, shivering, and slowly limping down the gravel shoulder. He squinted through the storm. A massive silhouette. Wings. A tail that dragged across the mud. Horns like twisted branches. It was no animal he'd ever seen. And it looked lost. James grabbed his raincoat, jumped into his pickup, and pulled up cautiously. The figure didn't turn, didn't flinch. His headlights lit it up, and his breath caught in his throat. A dragon, but not one of myth. This one was alien. Its scales shimmered faintly in purple and silver, though covered in grime. Its wings were tattered, its body thin. Its face bore long, spined ridges, and across its eyes were pale scars. It was blind, and it was alone in the freezing rain. James opened his truck door slowly. "Hey there," he called gently, voice swallowed by the wind. "You lost, big fella?" The creature paused, nostrils flaring. Then a soft hum, deep and mournful, echoed from its throat. It didn't growl. It didn't run. It simply collapsed, shuddering. James acted on instinct. He pulled a tarp from the back of his truck and laid it over the dragon's shoulders. Then he turned the truck's heat to full blast and set up a floodlight to give warmth. For hours, he sat beside it in the mud, feeding it water from a thermos cap. "You're a long way from wherever you're supposed to be," he said, patting its neck gently. The dragon let out a low trill, not threatening, more like a sigh. James stared at the sky. "Ain't no animal I've ever seen. Government project? Shipwreck? Doesn't matter. You're here now." And James Dyer had never turned away a soul in need. By morning the storm had passed. The dragon remained beside the gravel road, motionless but breathing steadily. James returned with blankets, meat, and his old radio rig. He even cleared out a portion of the machine shed nearby and lit up a makeshift heater. The dragon limped inside and curled up. Days passed. The creature healed slowly, strength returning with every meal. It never spoke, not aloud. But on the fourth day, as James tightened the bolt on the loader, he heard a voice in his mind. "Why?" He jerked, dropping the wrench. "Did you just talk?" "Why save me?" The voice repeated, sad, hesitant, ancient. James looked over. The dragon's blind eyes were turned toward him. He stepped closer. "Because you needed help. Others ran, feared, fled. You stayed." James scratched his beard. "Yeah. Well, I'm too old to run from something that just looked lost." The dragon's throat vibrated with a low hum. "You are not prey, not predator, not cruel." James learned the creature's name, Austral, though the dragon insisted James call him Ash. Ash was a skyfire, once bred to patrol the upper skies of another world. During an orbital war, His ship was shot down. He'd crash-landed here weeks ago, injured and blind, wandering for days in confusion until James found him. Ash's people were long gone, either off-world or buried beneath forgotten soil. And now he was all that remained. Despite the strangeness of it, James didn't back away. He let Ash stay in the shed, reinforced it with steel sheets, and even welded a heating panel onto one side. Word got around town that old man Dyer was building something weird, but no one dared bother him. Every night, Ash would listen to James talk about his wife who passed, the company he kept afloat with duct tape and grit, and the loneliness that sometimes hit like winter wind. Ash never spoke much, but he listened, and in return he told stories of flying across moonscapes, of singing with his wingmates, and of silence in the cold of space. Then one night, government trucks rolled into town, black, unmarked, quiet. James saw the lights before they arrived. He stood at the edge of the construction site, waiting. A man in a gray coat stepped forward. "Mr. Dyer, we have reports of an unauthorized bioentity on your property." "I don't know what you're talking about," James said flatly. The man smirked. "If you interfere, it'll be considered obstruction of interstellar quarantine law." James folded his arms. "If you try to lay a hand on my friend, it'll be considered a bad idea." Behind him, Ash stepped into the dim light, towering, wings half spread, scars glowing faintly. The agents froze, but Ash didn't growl. He simply raised his head. "I will go," the voice echoed in their minds. James turned. "Ash, no. You don't owe them anything. I owe you my life. I will not bring you harm." But just before Ash stepped forward, James held up a hand. "Wait." He turned to the agents. "You don't get to take him. He's not your experiment. He's not a threat. He's family." The agent narrowed his eyes. "You're protecting alien property." "No, I'm protecting a person." The standoff was broken by the unexpected. Ash let out a sharp, high-pitched note. A few seconds later, the clouds above shimmered, then parted. A second ship appeared in the sky, sleek and glowing. A signal, a beacon. Ash had called home. The agents retreated as the ship descended, casting wind and light across the site. When it landed, two winged shapes emerged, dragons taller, brighter, voices that rang in the air like thunder and bells. Ash bowed low. James stood back, heart sinking. "So this is it, huh?" Ash turned to him. "I was alone. Then I found you. And now I have the sky again. But I will never forget the road." James felt something hot sting his eyes. "You'll be all right out there?" "Because of you." "Yes." Ash stepped forward and gently pressed his scaled forehead to James's. And in that moment, the old foreman felt warmth, not just of fire, but belonging. When the ship took off, it carried a dragon no longer lost, and it left behind a man forever changed. James still sat at the roadside some nights, watching the stars, and when a soft breeze stirred the trees or a shadow passed across the moon, He smiled and whispered, "Fly safe, partner," because once, on a cold and rainy night, a blind dragon had wandered into his life and stayed just long enough to remind him what it meant to care.